Hello and welcome. You're watching NewsX and I'm Megha Sharma. A US military plane carrying 104 deported Indian migrants arrived in the northern Indian city of Amritsar, the first such flight to the country as part of the crackdown on undocumented migrants ordered by the Trump administration. The US Department of Defense has confirmed that an Air Force C-17 plane was used for the flight. Among the deported individuals, 33 hailed from Haryana, 33 other from Gujarat, 30 from Punjab, 3 from Maharashtra, 3 from Uttar Pradesh and 2 from Chandigarh. The deportation follows recent talks between India and America about addressing illegal immigration, which has become a prominent issue since Trump assumed office last month. While the United States of America has previously deported Indian nationals under prior administrations, this is the first time a military aircraft was used to carry out such an operation. Amidst the opposition clamor on discussing the deportation of over 100 illegal Indian immigrants by America, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar said that such actions by US authorities were not new. He revealed that data of the deported Indians in the last 15 years was up to the tune of just about 16,000 illegal immigrants. These numbers are indicative of the large number of people who travel from all parts of India looking for greener pastures in America through illegal routes. Now, according to the data that was shared by the External Affairs Minister, 2019 saw the most number of Indians being deported by America at 2,042, which was followed by 1,889 in 2020, the year when COVID-19 pandemic hit the world. I'm going to start my conversation, but before that, I'm going to put out these gut-wrenching accounts of deportees who have been brought back in the military plane sent from America into Delhi. There are family members who have also spoken to us. Let's take a look at this case story. This man, his name is Ankit. He belongs to Kaimalal village in Karnal. He invested 32 lakh rupees in 2019 to pursue opportunities in America through an intermediary. However, due to visa complications, he was forced to return to India in 2020, having lost his investments. Despite the setback, he now operates his own cafe. His initial plan was to earn money abroad, necessitated by a loan, but his journey was disrupted by a lengthy jail term in Mexico after illegally crossing the border. His visa application was unsuccessful. He was even observed Diwali while in detention. Listen in to his first-hand account.
नाम अंकित भाई, मेरा गांव कसाना है, कैथल के पास, कैथल जिला अपना।
तो अमेरिका कैसे गए थे, क्यों गए थे, किस तरीके से गए थे?
अमेरिका भाई डोंकी रूट से गया था, पैसे कमाने के लिए गया था। यहाँ तो अपना कोई रोजगार नहीं है, सरकार अपने को नौकरी नहीं देती, तो इस चक्कर में गए थे अमेरिका।
कितना पैसा लग गया?
भाई मेरे 40-45 लाख रुपए लग गए।
कैसे अरेंज कैसे?
अरेंज भाई बस कोई रिश्तेदार में कोई यार दोस्त बैठाए थे ब्याज पे, देखो भी कह रहा है कहाँ के देने हैं।
जाने में कितना टाइम लगा, क्या प्रोसेस था आपका जाने का?
भाई जाने में मैंने 7 महीने लग गए। मेरे तय बोलिया था एजेंट ने भाई 45 दिन में पंचायत दिवा देती, 7 महीने लग गए। मैंने बीच में जाके भी गया भाई, मैंने वापसी बुला ले, नहीं सुनी। बोले कोई टेंशन नहीं, पहुंच जाएगा, बग जाएगा, कोई दिक्कत नहीं तेने। तो भाई वही बात है, पेमेंट का चक्कर हुआ, पेमेंट का चक्कर में बिठा ले बंदा ने, फिर भी ठीक लग गया है। तो 29 कुछ कराया को नहीं, दूसरे पेमेंट का चक्कर में एजेंट का डोंकर का आपस करोड़ा था, बिठा कर रखे 45 दिन मैक्सिको सिटी रखे, 1.5 महीना निकोकली बिठा कर रखे। बात करी थी मैंने 40 लाख रुपये में बात हुई थी मेरी। बोलिया भाई ऊपर वाली गेम में भेजूंगा, जागा आगे मुकर के भाई तरली गेम चल रही है, ऊपरली चल रही नहीं, तरली में काट दे भाई पनामा जंगल में। वो
तो अभी क्या होता क्या जब आप दीवार टप गया तो क्या हुआ?
भाई जैसे दीवार टपी थी, पहले क्या करते थे, जो मैक्सिको बॉर्डर है, दीवार है, वो बन रही है उड़ा है, उन पर क्रॉस कराई कर दे। तो हम साइड में पहाड़ा पे 15 किलोमीटर ऊपर चढ़े, 4 बंदे थे हम। तो 15 किलोमीटर क्रॉस करे हमने। आगे जैसे अपना खेतों में तार लगा देते हैं, ऐसी तार होती है, आगे एक पत्थर है बड़ा सा, उस पर वेलकम टू यूएसए लिख गया था। तो उससे नीचे और 15 किलोमीटर जाना पड़ा है बंदा ने। तो हम अच्छी बहुत ज्यादा सर्दी थी वहां पे, तो 15 किलोमीटर नीचे गए हम। तो हमने जाकर उड़ा बॉर्डर पुलिस पे फोन कराया। बॉर्डर पुलिस में हमने 15 मिनट में 6-7 गाड़ियां आ गई थी वहां पे लेने। मतलब कि पहले जो लड़के जाते थे उनके साथ अच्छा व्यवहार करते थे, बट हमारे साथ ऐसा कुछ नहीं हुआ, बहुत गंदा व्यवहार कर रहे थे वो। तो उन्होंने हमारे जूते जाते खुलवा के, लेज लाज निकलवा के, कपड़े कुपड़े चेक करके, जो हमारा खाने का सामान था सारा फेंक दिया, हमें लेके चले गए। वहां जाके फिंगर फांगर होके अपना पासपोर्ट स्कैन कर, हमारा ग्रंटर का एड्रेस मांगया। उसके बाद घंटा एक वहां कैंप में लीज का गेट दिए, घंटा पाछा हमारे साइन करा दिए। उनती मार तो पहले कह दिया था जिस टाइम हम पकड़े भाई अमेरिका ने असाइलम देनी बंद कर दी भाई, तो हम डिपोर्ट हो गए। तो तीन जो हमने और बालका भाई पूछा था, कहते भाई 3 साइन कराएगा, चौथा साइन करा रिलीज कर दिया, बट हमारा के लिए ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, ना हमारे बयान लिए, ना हमारा कुछ सुना, कुछ नहीं करा भाई हमारे लिए, कोई मदद नहीं है भाई सरकार की।
तो पकड़ा फिर उन्होंने कैसे, मतलब आपको या वहीं से ले गए?
बस वहीं से 7 दिन रखा था। 24 पिछले जनवरी ने अपना बॉर्डर क्रॉस कराया था, मतलब कि 2 बजे सी रात ने 25 जनवरी ने हमने उड़ ले गए, तो अपना फरवरी की ने हम डिपोर्ट कर दिए थे भाई।
तो गए किस स्थिति में, जैसे लोग वीडियो देख रहे हैं,
हथकड़ी लगा दी थी भाई, जो कैंप में तो निकाल लेना, वहां तक डिटेंशन सेंटर बोला है उसने, और तो निकाल ले थे। जितनी लेडीज थी, बच्चों ने छोड़ गए, लेडीज थी जितने 18 साल तक ऊपर के लड़के थे, जेंट्स थे, सभी का हथकड़ी लगा दी, पैरों में हाथों में लगा दी भाई। वही बंदा ने वॉशरूम भी करना हुआ, फ्रेश भी होना हुआ, ऐसी कोई सुविधा नहीं दी गई। खाना खाने के लिए नहीं हथकड़ी खोली, कभी नहीं खोली। हम वहां तक चले थे और यहाँ अमृतसर आने तक हमने 51 घंटे लग गए थे भाई। तो यहाँ आके जब एयरपोर्ट पे जहाज लैंड होने वाला था, उससे 30 मिनट पहला लेडीज की हथकड़ी खोली थी उनकी। और जब यहाँ अपने वो जो ऑफिसर है वहाँ इसमें जहाज में हमने देखना है, तो उसके बाद उन्होंने हमारी हथकड़ी खोली है। तो उसके बाद पहले कोई कुछ नहीं हथकड़ी खोली हमारी।
यहाँ कौन छोड़ने आया आपको?
यहाँ पे भाई पुलिस वाले छोड़ने आए थे घर पे।
तो और भी आगे जा रहे हैं ऐसे? और भी
हाँ, एक जहाज और आना भाई 17 तारीख ने, 101 बंदे आने हैं, उसमें भी 104 आए थे। तो कुछ नहीं थी भाई, यार दोस्त जा रहे थे भाई, बोले बढ़िया है, कमाई है जय भाई, अपना घर का सुधार हो जाएगा, 2 रुपये कमाओगा, इस करके बस देख रेख में जाना पड़ेगा। तो अब अभी तो कुछ नहीं चल रहा भाई दिमाग में, देखोगी सरकार कुछ मदद करेगी तो सरकार से दरखास्त कराएंगे, अभी तो और क्या कराएंगे भाई। मैं तो कहूँ इस टाइम जो 4 साल है ट्रम्प का राज, ये तो जाने का कोई फायदा नहीं, कोई फायदा नहीं है जाने का। मैं तो समझना नहीं हूँ, ये वही बात है, सोचा है भाई अपनी अपनी किस्मत की बात है। जब किस्मत तो चलेगी नहीं बंदा ने कि मेरा की सुनवाई होगी, जो सुनवाई नहीं होती, ज्यादा बिठा हुआ है रूटे टोरते हैं। तो भाई जो करोड़ है, जो अमेरिका के अधिकार है, अपना जोड़ है कि सहूलियत मिलनी चाहिए, कोई हमें अधिकार नहीं मिला। जो यूएनओ ने रूल बना रखे हैं भाई, शरणार्थियों को इनकी शरण देनी है, आप इनकी डिपोर्ट नहीं कर सकते, आप इनका इंटरव्यू लेंगे, इसकी हमने कोई सुविधा नहीं मिली, ना हमारा इंटरव्यू है, ना हमारी कोई अपील, कुछ नहीं सुनाई दी गई हमारी। भारत सरकार से भाई यही कहेंगे, अपना जो जिसका हो रहा है उसकी कुछ कोटा काटा में कराओ, इनका कोई नौकरी नाकरी का प्रबंध कराओ। जिस पर किसी पर जमीन थी, कोई ब्याज पर पीछे ठहका जा रहा है, ये किसी की वापसी तो आने नहीं, ये सरकार ही कर सका जो करेगी।
तो घर में कौन कौन है आपके?
घर में भाई एक भाई है, माता पिता।
क्या काम है?
भाई का नाम अंकुश है भाई।
ये क्या काम करते हैं सारे घर में?
सारे बस मम्मी तो भाई हाउस वाइफ है, भाई स्टडी कर रहा है, पापा नौकरी कर रहा है।
मतलब आपके ऊपर उम्मीद थी वही
हाँ,
तो वही उम्मीद खत्म हो गई?
वही खत्म हो गया भाई।
Ambassador Sajjanar, we heard this account of this young man by the name of Ankit. He belongs to Karnal, and he took the donkey route, traveled to Mexico, crossed the Mexican border illegally, entered into America, was deported, has been brought back, one of the 104 people from India that have been brought back from America, the military plane that was sent. It's not an easy life for them because they have pulled out, he says he spent about 45 lakh rupees. He paid this to the agent to travel all the way to America and then do all the hard work. Menial labor is what he had been doing to sustain himself over there in the hopes of a better life in America, earn the dollars and live the American dream. Unfortunately, that could not be true for him. He has been brought back, an illegal immigrant, strong action taken under the Trump administration. But how do we end this cycle? Because here you see that there are these disillusioned men and women, youth, who are going to go to all ends, all means to gather those huge sums of money. Remember, they come from lower middle class and lower class families, and then they get into this entire, the circle of paying the money to the agents promising them that they will be sent to America and going through all these hardships, and at the end of the day, they don't gain anything. So how can the government of India ensure that they do not fall into the trap that is viciously laid out for them?
Yeah, thank you very much, Megha. You are very right. I think this is a vicious trap. And of course, hearing the accounts of, the person like the one you had on your program and all the reportage that we have been receiving and that we have been reading in the various newspapers yesterday and today, that is truly heart-rending. And, how these people, from lower middle class families, from, the economically weaker sections of society, how they have been tricked, how they have been shown green pastures, how they have been shown, given an exaggerated accounts of the riches that they will come to, what are the sort of accounts that they have received, and to put at stake everything that they had, everything that their family had, meaning what we have heard and what we have read. Many of them sold their land, sold their cattle, took loans of money from relatives and family to go there. It truly sort of, is very distressing and very disheartening. Because, with that same sort of money, 40 lakhs, 50 lakhs, 60 lakhs, I think any person who can be so enterprising that, who goes from here to Dubai, to Turkey, to Sharjah, to Mexico, and through that goes to the US, Mexico southern border, who has that much of enterprise and drive, they could definitely take, do some business with all that much of money. In the Indian context, 40, 50 lakhs of rupees is not a mean amount with which you cannot start something. And today, there are opportunities. But coming back to your question, Megha, very valid, very relevant question. I think basically what the government needs to do, and I think this is what the External Affairs Minister has promised, to come down with a heavy hand on all those people, the touts, the human traffickers, the agents who have been beguiling these innocent people, the simple-minded people, and taking them to these different countries and leaving them to fend for themselves. This person that you were speaking to, as I could make out, he has barely been in the United States for not even 1 month.
Yeah.
And all that money has really gone into the pocket of this agent who helped him to do it. And of course, right at the beginning, they tell them that, it'll be easy. So many others before them have done it. There'll be no problem. But then we have seen most of the 104 people who have come back have been there just for a few months or for a few weeks. So I think government needs to come down with a heavy hand. I think also the problem is it, very hugely dents the reputation of India. India, which is, as we've been saying, is the 5th largest economy, shortly going to become the 3rd largest economy, the fastest growing major economy in the world. And if the world around, they see images that these are illegals, that means there are not enough jobs in India. So
Yeah.
I think there is a huge reputational loss. There's a huge loss of image as far as India is concerned. So I think for a variety of reasons, the government really needs to come down very strongly on this. And secondly, I think through the media, through reportings, the message needs to be sent out to these people that it's not easy and you will not live a dignified life if you go as an illegal there, even if you are able to earn a few $100 or something. As self-respecting individuals, you will not be able to live with dignity there.
Yeah, and then here's another of those anecdotes, and listen in, because during these deportations where 104 illegal Indian immigrants were brought back, there was also Akshay. He belongs to Kharar village. Akshay's father Subhash Saini runs a photo state shop in Bhiwani. His father Subhash has a shop by the name of Bhagwan Photo State. This is near Bhiwani ITI. His grandfather Nihal Saini spoke to NewsX, and he said that Akshay has been living in Kettle for almost 1 to 2 years. And let's listen into that account.
क्या नाम है?
निहाल सिंह।
अक्षय जो है वो आपका क्या लगता है और कब गया था?
पोता है जी मेरा, सुभाष का लड़का है, सुभाष बेटा है, पोता है।
तो कितने भाई हैं अक्षय और?
2।
और बहन है अक्षय की?
बहन नहीं है।
तो क्या करते हैं फादर अक्षय की?
दुकान है उनकी, भिवानी फोटो स्टेट की टाइप वगैरह की।
तो अक्षय अभी कहाँ रहता था?
अब की मौसी के पास रहता है।
और कितने दिन पहले बाहर गया था? आपको मिली?
नहीं, बात तो गया नहीं, अब की मौसी के पास ही रहता है।
अच्छा जी।
हाँ, 2, 2.5, 3 साल।
अच्छा, तो अब कब बात हुई थी आपकी, या आया हो यहाँ पे आप?
उससे बात होती रहती, आया तो नहीं हो।
अच्छा, फोन पे हुई?
फोन कर देता है वो।
कब हुई थी आपकी बात हुई?
महीना 1.5 महीना हो गया।
अच्छा, 1.5 महीने पहले। तो अभी कुछ पता लगा है कि वो अमेरिका गया था और अमेरिका सरकार ने वापस भेजा है?
अमेरिका गया ही नहीं जी।
अच्छा।
जाने की तैयारी थी पर इनकार कर दिया मैंने भी, वो भी खुद भी इनकार कर गया।
तो कैसे ध्यान में आया उसके कि हम बाहर जाके?
वो बाहर आदमी उदमी, बात तो उसकी मौसी के बड़ा भाई है, उस जेठ, उसकी मौसी का जेठ है, उसके लड़के जा रहे हैं 2-3। हाँ जी।
तो पिताजी क्या करते हैं?
किसके?
अक्षय के पिताजी?
दुकान है, बता नहीं भिवानी, फोटो स्टेट की टाइप की।
कोई पैसे पूछे का जिक्र किया हो कि बाहर जाने के लिए इतने पैसे लगेंगे या कुछ अक्षय ने आपके आगे?
ना, कोई जिक्र को नहीं करे जी।
अच्छा, कभी कुछ?
हाँ।
ठीक है।
Professor Nalapat, I'm going to come to you. And how do we fight this problem? You know, just putting people behind bars, stopping agents from running this nexus is going to help only as much. The problem is that we are the world's most populous nation. There are jobs available in the market, but we do not have enough skilled labor. And because people are unemployed in the country, they have no means of making money. They then aspire to travel to far off places to earn a livelihood.
I would like to point out that both the gentlemen who have been interviewed, their stories are indeed, as the ambassador said, heartrending. It is a terrible human tragedy, and the whole family must be going through utter hell as a consequence. Fortunately, they have come back, sound in life and limb, which is a blessing. But I want to point out that that is plainly illegal. And I think it's very important to say that illegal activities of any form, whether in India or you do something illegal and then enter a country or matters like that, I think legality is a very important part of a society which is doing well. A society that has to function under rule of law is absolutely essential for fast economic development. And as and forget what about the credibility of India? The reality is we have about more than 5 million Indians who are now permanently resident in the United States. That number is only rising day by day. Permanently settled and frankly, perfectly legally settled. These people are very, very important, and any attempt made to interfere with such rights as birthright citizenship should be very strongly contested by the government of India. And I do believe that the government of India has got considerable influence on the Trump administration.
Okay.
But the reality of the situation is that NewsX was among the first channels to point out the role of these agents. And I think it's important that everybody in the country witness these tragic stories, witness these human tragedies, so that they're not in any way tempted to follow the same route. Because quite frankly, now there is a real lethal crackdown. During the Biden administration also, if I'm not mistaken, several thousand Indians were deported. So it's not just the Trump administration, but the number may be slightly more. But anyway, the number of illegals from India is nothing compared to the number of legals from India.
Right.
And the number of Indian illegals in the total of illegals which is the Biden administration last 2 years, more than 10 million recorded cases of illegal migration. 10 million. The share of India is very, very small in that. But all these are, are important. And a third factor is a lot of the social media posts that you're seeing are manufactured or artificial. Even foreign television channels have started saying that many of these images are fake. They show Guatemalan citizens, they show Venezuelans, they show hooded people. These are not Indians, and these are much earlier flights. So we have to be very careful before we fall into the social media trap of artificially generated media, which gives a very bad impression of the United States and frankly makes the Indian people dislike the United States. Same things happening in the US. A lot of fake news is coming
Right.
about Indian illegal migration to make the ordinary American dislike India and Indians. And I think we have to beware of that as well, Megha.
Okay, I also have with me Surinder Singh Lali. Let's hear it from you, Surinder Singh Lali. What is your perception? Now, there has been a massive crackdown. It is not just peculiar to India. It has also happened in Mexico, El Salvador, Guantanamo Bay. We talk about Venezuela. We talk about other South American and Central American countries. Now, why has the opposition in our country taken this news badly? Why has it been questioning the government of India for not doing anything, especially when the government of India itself is against any sort of illegal immigration that happens?
Thank you, Megha, and I wish to come in this discussion in a very apolitical manner. In 1997, there was a movie called Con Air, where Nicolas Cage was in the movie. It's on Netflix, and the movie is about a big transport plane where criminals are ferried from one part of America to the other. Absolutely similar to the description of what we saw. They were shackled, and of course, in midair, they try and hijack the plane. Now, why am I telling you this? This is what Donald Trump spoke 3 weeks ago at the GOP convention, where when he was talking about illegal immigration, in the same breath, he said, have you seen that movie Con Here? And, we're going to treat our, illegal immigrants like that. And let me quote Donald Trump. He says, in that movie, which was a movie, there were murderers, quote opens, murderers, gangsters, drug lords, and head of the mob, quote close. So he has been living up to a script. He's told Americans that immigration is a big issue. And why the military plane? Because that is all about optics. He is creating the optics that, listen, I said what I said in my campaign. I'm going to walk the talk because I mean business. And before the courts step in, before, he goes lame duck in the midterm, he is simply trying to live up to a script so that he can say that I have done what I had to do. The irony is that from 2009 to 2025, 15,721 Indians have been deported. Now, why the opposition is up in the arms is only because of the optics by choosing a cargo plane, a C-17, and landing it in Amritsar, which could be a different discussion for a different debate. Maybe it's a message to Pakistan or whatever it may be. Now, Megha, I want to share 2 points purely based on my stay for over a decade in that country. Out of the 5 million, Megha, there have been cases where people have gone from rags to riches, people who came from the border. I personally know heaps of them because all of this actually, gathered pace after 1984 when a lot of Punjabis wanted to move. And a lot of, we had a lot of immigration happening in the 60s and the 70s, people who went to Lockheed Martin and, Shell and NASA. Then, technology came in Silicon Valley. In the 80s, a lot of business people moved in because garment trade really became big, and there were a lot of people who monetized on the economic policies where you could get a duty drawback. So there are enough cases within these 5 million, even in the United States, who are in businesses, which is, gas station, motel, newsstand, lotteries, and mobile phones. So unfortunately, it is these people who are misled because everybody wants to live the American dream. And Megha, even the Ankit cafe owner who you interviewed, he said that there is no point going on for the next 4 years till Trump is there, which means they are waiting for Trump to go, because
Yeah.
this is a very large, socio-economic problem, and especially in Punjab, the obsession for white and Gora land is supreme. I mean, if common sense was to have it, we're not the same India anymore. I mean, with 50 lakhs, you could do a lot more, because we are going from the fifth to the third largest economy. So the government needs to step in and create the awareness, because
Okay.
in
I
Hindi we
think
say
create the awareness, create the jobs as well. That is most important. Make the Indian population, the youth, skilled enough to get the jobs over here. Why would they want to bear the hardships and live in America and Canada and all these other European and American nations to then stay away from families and the hardships that they have to face. Coming back to you, Dhruv Katoch, a lot of hue and cry was created. It was not just for the Indian deportees when they were shackled and handcuffed and brought like herds of cattle, put into the military airplane and brought to India. Something similar was also witnessed when the deportees were being sent back to Mexico, and the same treatment was meted out to them, that they were being portrayed as criminals and terrorists, and such was the harsh language being used by President Trump as well. Do you think it was justified to deport these illegal immigrants and handcuff them and treat them as if they were criminals?
Megha, let me give you my views, which may be slightly different from my colleagues. One, once we are talking about illegals, I don't see any reason why anybody should have sympathy with them. They knew exactly what they were doing and what they were going through. For a person to plead ignorance and say, no, I didn't know that this is going to happen, I don't buy it. Everybody knows it, including our chaps who went to Russia to fight. When things got bad, they wanted to come home, but everybody knew. I have got a whole lot of people who know what the risks are, who still want to go. So that excuse is not there. Number two, why are they restrained? I'm afraid that is the law of the United States, that when you send back a person who is an illegal detainee, he will be restrained. That's it. So whether he's an Indian or an American or anybody else, if he has to be restrained, that is the restraint procedure. It is something which the Americans do even to their own people. So if an American has to be restrained when he's moving in a military aircraft, his feet will be bound in exactly a similar manner and his hands will be chained. That is number two. Number three, I think we are learning the wrong lessons from here. The right lesson to learn is that illegal immigrants are unacceptable to any society, including Indian society. And we have got 20 million of these Bangladeshis and Rohingyas who are here. We should throw them out. If required, use the military planes to send them back. But we are so soft. It is something like, that the Bollywood dream, 100,000 people go to Mumbai to for their Hollywood dream. Most of them are selling Golgappas there now. That one particular chap becomes a Devanand or a Heba Malini. The rest of them don't. Now that is the reality of life. I have absolutely no sympathy for anybody. We know what we are doing.
Yeah.
We are responsible as adults for our actions, and we must bear the consequences of it. As far as the Indian government is concerned, I feel what has happened is good. Please advertise it more to create that level of awareness. Don't do something which is illegal.
Okay.
You want to go to the United States, go legally. Make your billions legally. I have enough relatives in the US who have gone there legally and who are doing well.
Yes, so, but they have the restraints. They don't have the economic part. They don't have the right education. They are unskilled. They don't get jobs over here. They are poor. They are from poor families. So a lot of restrictions over here. So the government will have to create this sort of infrastructure for the youth to be assimilated and absorbed within the economy, for them to then look out for these pastures and do all the hard work which they would not have to do ordinarily if they were living back home in India. Surinder Singh Lali, you want to make a quick point? I have very little time. Yes.
I want to make 2 points, and these are, out of the 15,721, if you minus these 104, they have not been deported with handcuffs and in a military aircraft. There have been many times I've flown back from the US, and as soon as the plane landed, the police comes and they are the first one to be escorted out. I don't know if we were to do that to the Americans, how would they react? Number one. And number two is, America has a backdoor policy too. I'm not justifying the illegals, but there was the farming scheme and there are other amnesty schemes which America keeps bringing, and I was beneficiary of one of them. I went legally. I just went and changed my status, and it was called the Messi and the LULAC scheme. So the larger point I'm trying to make is that somewhere America also opens amnesty doors for these people to come, and eventually when America allows them in, and for the first few years, they don't give them any, privileges or any social benefits. They simply take taxes from them, and eventually they make them legal, for which there are millions of cases in America who went, maybe not the donkey way, but the illegal way. But there were provisions in the American law which allows them, all you need to do is go and meet your hotshot Jewish lawyer in Midtown Manhattan. He will give you something, and there are ample opportunities. But to conclude, I largely agree with General Katoch's point that maybe that is not the way, but there is a little gray area here.
Of course
too.
there is.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.